Hi guys, Alice Taylor here, and today we're going to talk about Rory McIlroy switching from Nike driver fairway wood into the TaylorMade M2. So Rory's just switched and he's got an M2 driver, 3 wood and 5 wood. So he's got M2 9.5 degree head, set down 1.5 degrees less, so 8 degree loft, which will open the club face up. He has got the Cage X Flex. Now I'm only using stiff, but I've got the head set exactly the same. We're going to hit 3 shots with driver, 3 shots, couple off the floor with 3 wood and 1 off a little tee, and then 3 with 5 wood off the floor, and talk about why Rory's changed and will this be what stays in the bag for him. So we're on GC2. We're going to look at real ball flight. But like I said, 3 drivers first off, and let's see how, not exactly how it performs for him because he swings just a touch quicker than me, but we know with M2 that it's very, very forgiving. The weight is moved back in the head, but in all the testing I've done, we've still seen remarkably low spin, and particularly with this club, the fact that it's got such little loft on it should still get plenty of club head, plenty of ball speed, but also very, very low spin. So a little bit out the toe, very low flight, but getting out very impressive for a bit of a miss hit. So a little bit toey with the first one, but still some very, very good distance. So shot number 2. Getting a little bit towards the heel. So neither of these have been absolutely great strikes. Again, still out there at 280 for a miss hit. Okay, so now a little bit towards the heel. But bearing in mind neither of those have been struck fantastically well. And we're going to say that Rory probably finds nearer to the middle of the club face a bit more often than me. We're going to say though that they both perform pretty decent. So let's see if we can get one right out the middle and see what we can get out of it. Again, a more solid strike, just a tiny little push, not drawing back, but really pitching and getting out there a long, long way. Whew. So guys, you can see if I'm hitting it that kind of distance, you put in Rory's club head speed, what he's able to get out of that club, you can see why he's moving the ball the distance he is with M2 driver. Now, is he hitting it any further than his Nike one? Tough to tell. I would say it's only going to be marginal, handful of yards, but why has he switched driver? For me, obviously everyone knows Nike aren't making clubs anymore. If you don't, where have you been? But everyone knows they're not making the clubs anymore, so he was always going to switch at some point. There are rumours that TaylorMade are being sold and maybe a certain golfer is involved in a buying group that's buying it. He may be an influence because there's not just Rory switched from Nike to M2 for the TaylorMade. Quite a few of the Nike boys have. But it gets him into someone who's currently developing products, and he might get a bit of input into new stuff coming out. And he's going to hit this great. He's going to hit any driver phenomenally well, and we can see for me there I get some good numbers out of M2. So the big thing for me then is moving from driver into fairway woods. Now Rory's 3 wood and 5 wood. I have a feeling even though he had 3 wood and 5 wood in the bag in the practice round for his first event, he may have only used 3 wood. But I'm going to hit 3 shots with 3 wood. We know for me, if you've watched my videos, 15 degree off the floor is a little bit on the stingy side. So a good strike, a little bit cutty, which predominantly for me with 3 wood, but good distance over 250. But the one thing I love about this 3 wood is it does feel a little bit easier to hit off the floor, and it feels really, really quick off the face. And I like that. You know, if I'm going to be using 3 wood, for me it needs to be something I can hit well off the floor. Still not wholly convinced on 15 degree, but with the way Rory swings it, he's got no issues having that loft. toey. Not going to fly quite as far, but again, decent for 3-wood. Getting out there over 260. Again, okay. Still for me, I'd take those distances. And having watched his first event, there was a par 4 at the WGC. There was about 280. He was hitting this off the tee, kind of pitching the ball around pin high. So we're going to hit one off a little tee, as though we might use this occasionally. In case you're excited, this isn't going to go 280 through the air, but let's see how it would perform off the tee. And a good solid strike. Really getting out there a little bit further. Nearly 265 off the tee. So, I mean, for me, 3-wood performs pretty well. For me personally, still not sure on the 15 degree, and I know they do a 3HL at 16.5, which is probably more going to be me. But Rory's other club, occasionally he'll drop his 2-iron or 3-iron or both and put a 5-wood in the bag. Idea being that little bit more kind of loft, and the way there's dynamically more loft at impact, he feels he can hit it higher and further through the air with a 5-wood. Certainly for me, I love the look of this behind the ball. Again, feels a lot easier to hit with me with that little bit more loft. Not the best of strikes, but still getting out there 250. And even though that's not perfect, that feels like I could hit that all day long off the floor. And again, much more solid. A little low off the face. Again, getting out 240. And again, just solid, if not absolutely perfect. And one final one. I don't see me hitting many tee shots with 5-wood, if I'm being honest. This would very much be a fairway club for me. One final one with 5-wood. Okay, maybe a little bit towards the toe. And now pitching over 230, getting out around that 250 mark. Okay then guys, so we've hit 3-wood driver, 3 with 3-wood, 3 with 5-wood. Let's look at some numbers, talk about how they perform for me, and then when we come back, why they could be good for Rory's game going forward. So look at the numbers with driver. Ball speed, just under 160, which for ones I didn't strike fantastically well were pretty good. The second strike, as a bit of a heel strike, was quite high with spin, but still under 3,000. But the rest, the other two, phenomenally low spin, giving an average of 1900, averaging around 300 yards even with my clubhead speed. 3-wood ball speed kind of down around 152, so we'd expect that to drop off a touch. Spinning at 3,500, pitching 240, rolling out 260. And the 5-wood, again, ball speed just dropping off slightly. Right then guys, so we look, for me, some pretty good results. Driver, I could probably get into that if I'm being honest. 3-wood, not wholly sure. I think maybe a combination of the two would be better for me, the 16.5 3HL. But why is Rory switched to these? His feedback is that he feels he hits the M2 a little bit further through the air than his Nike one. Now all I'm imagining there is that he can maybe keep the launch angle up but keep the spin a little bit lower with this one. Therefore hitting it a bit further through the air, maybe a few more yards extra. I think 3-wood and 5-wood, he likes the sort of look of that glued finish. He hadn't actually put the new Vapor Fly fairway woods in. He was still using the Vapor fairway woods, so it's been a couple of years since he's changed fairway wood, so that would be quite an easy one for me, that he's maybe been looking to change for next season anyway. If he can get something in now for the end of this year, the seasons just kind of tag straight onto the back of each other, so they'd be good. M2 was an interesting one for me though. We saw Brooks Koepka switch at the Ryder Cup. He went straight into this, and rumour has it Rory had been testing this for about 6 weeks. But Rory McIlroy switching from Nike to the TaylorMade M2 metalwoods. Is it something that you guys have already got in the bag? I'd be very interested to hear, and if you have, how come? I don't suspect many of you guys will be wholly switching from one manufacturer to another because you don't get sponsored and looked after by them. But if you're in the market, try the fairway woods, try the drivers, see how it works. As ever guys, really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. Comment below and I'll try and get back to you. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down in the future. Stay in contact.